G'day guys, my topic for my case study is are VCAL students entering their VCE units for the right reasons, or are they being pushed into a trade perhaps due to other external factors like poor academic results or parents pushing them into it. I interviewed 3 young guys that I know just to get an idea of how they made the decision to enter VCAL and commence a trade. They were all really nice young guys that were easy going and more than happy to take part in the process. So basically they were, so one was a plumber, one was an electrician, and one was a cabinet maker. So basically I just asked them to fill out a small questionnaire, and then I just asked them a few questions just regarding how they ended up commencing their trade-based VCAL subjects. The questions I asked were pretty broad, but just wanted to sort of eke out their reasons behind it. So it was basically from 1 to 10 it was. First question was just basically how did you decide to do VCAL? Did you undertake any previous work experience in that field? Did you try a trade day, which they do up here in around country Victoria? Next question was, did you and your parents with the school decide together to enter VCAL? The trade that you're in now, was that your original choice? Often kids just say, I want to be a tradie, and they end up asking every type of trade in the town or the suburb before they'll get accepted. And the remaining questions were, are you enjoying your work? Are you being engaged in your job with your employer, or are you simply cheap labour for your employer? And is it what you expected entering the workforce for your couple of days a week? And last of all, do you enjoy the school component when you go to trade school? And does your case manager come out and see you on the job and actually ask how you're going? Often through group training, or if you're not through group training, you're just left alone, and if you hate it, well, tough, you got to keep working. So the 3 guys threw up some really interesting answers or discussion. All 3 basically said they had poor academic results and were struggling in year 10 and were sort of worried about going into year 11 and 12. I think one guy even said he had a learning difficulty, which still isn't being addressed. He said he struggles to read and somehow slipped through the cracks at school. But all of them did say there was parental pressure with their parents sort of almost insisting they do a trade. So that was particular with 2 of the young guys. So I'll just touch on a few of those. The first young guy, Peter, was an apprentice electrician. He said he always wanted to be a tradesperson. He was actually the young guy that had difficulty reading. And he was really honest when he told me that, which I found pretty refreshing. He said he'd had no exposure to the electrical industry, and actually was an apprentice painter before that for about 3 weeks and hated it. Before deciding to go across to that. The other young guy, Tom, who's an apprentice plumber, his family are from a farm. His older brother was on the farm, which he said basically there's no job for me on the farm. He said his uncle was a plumber. That was about his only logic for going into a VCAL subject area. He said he did do work experience with his uncle and enjoyed it, so that was some reason. The pity was he said he enjoyed graphic art at school and really wanted to be a sign writer, but there's just no opportunities for him there. He said his parents did get involved with the school, only slightly. His mum spoke to the Year 11 coordinator, just saying that he just didn't want to do VCE. Sorry about that. And he wanted to. He also didn't want to go to university at all. So he'd sort of made his mind up that he wanted to do a trade. And again, it was basically any trade will do. I've had exposure to plumbing, that'll do. The other part was, the other young guy was Simon, who was a cabinet maker. He too was off a farm, but there was just sort of no opportunity on the farm, which he did want it to be a farmer, but I think they only had a small farm, so it just which had been leased out, and there was no opportunity. So he basically just sent his resume to every single tradesperson in the town, and that was ranging from plumbers to electricians to builders. He just said, I just want to be a tradesperson. He said he wanted to be a builder, that was his first preference, but ended up getting a position with a cabinet maker. He said he liked woodwork at school, so that was to some degree, he followed some sort of course there. But by and large, all three young guys really threw up what I sort of already knew, because I'm an electrical contractor myself, and I've had three apprentices go right through, and I've probably had 5 or 6 that I've had to actually let go. All nice young kids, but just didn't have a clue, and were forced into it because of those factors which I touched on, which was poor academic results from year 9 to 10, and also parental pressure. One young guy actually said to me, Mum wants me to be an electrician because you're rich, which I just couldn't believe. Like he just thought, oh well, Mum reckons that all tradespeople are rich, so that wasn't really a basis to start a career. He was actually interested in music, which is an absolute opposite to being an electrician. So he's actually gone back to school and studying music in year 12 this year. So I think it has shown that I think there is a correlation between poor academic results, parental pressure, and kids being forced into trade areas. It just seems if you're no good at school, go be a tradie, which I think was the old way of looking at trade positions. So I think in conclusion, from the 3 case studies, interviewing the 3 young guys, I think there's a real call for there needs to be more cooperation between parents and the schools, and really sit down. The 3 parties need to sit down and really discuss why these young kids want to be a tradesperson. Not to deter them, but just to see why. The big why they want to do it. They might hate working with their hands or being outside, but feel they're obligated to go and do it, which I think is a bit unfair, because it's a lifelong choice sometimes, these career moves. So I really think that what the evidence proved to me was that it's got to be a much more careful, considered process, and because you could see by those 3 young kids, although they're still, I think to some degree they're enjoying their trade-based learning, it probably wasn't their first choice. And this day and age, I think we do have choice, and we don't just have to accept the first job or uni position that comes up. We need to think a bit more carefully about it. So that was probably the best thing that came out of it. Finally, I think most people can go on. Sorry about that. Most people should be able to, choose their own destiny in terms of careers. So that's about it. Thank you.